The U.S. Supreme Court confirming today the leak of a draft opinion, which apparently reflects that the conservative majority will vote to overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, that it is authentic. The court cautions the draft opinion, though, is not final. The opinion is in response to a challenge to Mississippi's 15-week abortion ban. In Washington today, a sea of demonstrators, both for and against abortion rights, have been gathered all day following the memo's release.
Tonight, President Joe Biden says he is concerned that after almost 50 years, a woman's right to choose is on the line at the nation's highest court. We have team coverage on the impacts of this potential decision, both nationally and for Florida. We'll break down reaction from both sides of the debate.
We begin with our co-anchor Todd McDermott and a closer look at what the release of this memo means. Todd?
Tiffany Felicia, Chief Justice John Roberts calls the release of that draft opinion a, quote, egregious breach of trust. He's ordered an investigation into the leak. The Chief Justice confirms the document, as you said, obtained by a reporter from Politico, from somebody familiar with the court's proceedings, is authentic. The court's public affairs office stressed the document does not represent a final decision by the justices. That decision, tied to the high court challenge to Mississippi's brand new law banning abortion after 15 weeks of pregnancy, is expected within the next 2 months. The votes of justices and the language that explains the decision could possibly change before that. President Biden today criticizing the content of the opinion written by Justice Samuel Alito as the president was about to board Air Force One to head to Alabama. He says if this draft becomes an official ruling by the court, he fears it could put Americans' other rights at risk.
If the rationale of the decision as released were to be sustained, a whole range of rights are in question, a whole range of rights. And the idea we're letting the states make those decisions, localities make those decisions, would be a fundamental shift in what we've done.
Critics of this draft opinion believe the right to use contraception, the right to same-sex marriage, and more could be struck down by the conservative majority court by similar means. President Biden declined to call for changing Senate procedures to allow Democrats to pass legislation making abortion rights codified federal law with a simple majority. He says he is not prepared to make that judgment right now. This draft opinion written by Justice Alito would clearly overturn the nearly 50-year-old Roe v. Wade decision, 1973. Justice Alito writes, Roe was egregiously wrong from the start. Its reasoning was exceptionally weak, and the decision has had damaging consequences. It is time to heed the Constitution and return the issue of abortion to the people's elected representatives. That means turning it back over to the states. Again, this is not a Supreme Court ruling. This is a draft. We never get to see these until the court reaches a final decision. And tonight, Republicans in Washington, D.C. are focused on the leak itself, saying it should never have happened and the court should not be influenced by the public reaction now. That's something Judge Samuel Alito himself said during his Senate confirmation hearings on his nomination to the Supreme Court by President George W. Bush in 2006. Tiffany?
Todd, thank you. If Roe v. Wade is overturned this summer, abortion would be immediately banned in 23 states and territories. The states that are in red here on this map are the states where abortions would be automatically banned without Roe v. Wade. In green, which is Florida, they would be restricted like the rules that we just told you about. The blue states, California and Illinois, still have abortion protections in place. In the gold states, New Hampshire and New Mexico, abortion would not be protected but not necessarily banned either.
Tonight, we are hearing from both sides of the abortion issue. Our Terry Parker spoke with locals' elected officials about Florida's current abortion laws. She has comments from Governor Ron DeSantis. Terry?
Florida's Democratic lawmakers tell me they are concerned that if Roe v. Wade were overturned, that Florida could then enact an even more restrictive abortion law. But Republican lawmakers I spoke to tell me they don't think that would happen. If Roe v. Wade is overturned by the U.S. Supreme Court, what does that mean for Florida? I asked Democratic Florida Senator Lauren Book.
Florida is not one of the 13 states that have trigger laws, which would automatically stop and halt all abortions in those states. Florida is not one of those states.
But Florida lawmakers did just pass a new abortion law that goes into effect July 1st. It bans abortions at 15 weeks with no exemptions for rape, incest, and human trafficking. Democratic State Senator Bobby Powell says he thinks overturning Roe v. Wade could lead to even more restrictive abortion laws in Florida, pushed, he says, by the Republican majority in the state legislature.
If there's a way to change legislation to change the Constitution, to put something on the ballot that they believe is red meat for the base, they go after it.
Republican Representative Rick Roth says he doesn't think so.
I think the Florida House is a conservative body, and conservatism says that you take smaller steps and you don't push the envelope any further than you think you can get away with.
In a news conference Tuesday, Governor Ron DeSantis said the leak of the Supreme Court draft opinion is unprecedented in court history and should be investigated. He says as far as the new Florida abortion law, the state is prepared to defend it.
Now, we're mindful that we also will be challenged under the Florida Constitution and statutes. We think we're going to win there, but that is going to be something that we're going to have to do.
And the new Florida abortion law does not take effect until July 1st, so women can still make appointments and get procedures up until then. Meantime, the Florida legislature is set for another special session May 23rd, but there is no discussion of abortion on that agenda at this time. Terry Parker, WPBF 25 News.
Terry, thank you. And tonight, local political experts agree the leaked draft from the Supreme Court is unusual, but they also want people to understand that this is not a done deal. Our Angela Rozier continues our team coverage live from Palm Beach Gardens. And Angela, what type of impact could this ruling have on Florida politics?
Well, this is still very recent, so I'm told we're just going to have to wait and see. But the expectation is that this issue is going to be very motivating to a lot of voters.
Kevin Wagner is the department chair for political science at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. He was surprised to hear that a draft of an opinion that would overturn Roe v. Wade was leaked to the public.
My first thought was that was pretty shocking to see. The second, and since it's a draft opinion, one of the things we have to wonder about is what the ultimate opinion will look like.
He says one of the implications of the absence of Roe is that it's going to put more focus on state government because lawmakers will have the ability to do a number of things they couldn't do under Roe.
Roe prohibited certain types of laws, so they'll have the opportunity to pass laws or not pass laws having to do with reproductive rights, which would have been unconstitutional previous. So you're going to see, I think, a lot more focus on who's running for state legislatures and what the implications of their positions might be, because they're going to have a lot of authority in this area if Roe is no longer the law of the land.
We also reached out to Pamela See, a professor in the law department at Florida Gulf Coast University in Fort Myers, to get her reaction to the leaked draft.
This is an egregious breach of basic fundamental legal rules.
She understands this is a passionate issue and not surprised to see demonstrations like the one here outside the Supreme Court.
This is not a done deal. The process involves many drafts, many opinions, and much work and effort on the part of all the justices, not just one.
And she says this is just a draft. That's exactly what it is, and it still has to be discussed by all justices. And Professor Wagner added, too, that we still don't know what the ultimate opinion will actually look like right now. Reporting live in Palm Beach Gardens, Angela Rozier, WPBF 25 News.
You can download our WPBF 25 News app to stay on top of this developing story. We will continue to update the story on air and online as we learn more. Make sure notifications are turned on to have the latest developments sent directly to your phone.